Hello, everyone. So we are live. Excuse me. So let's wait for others to join as well. Hello. Yeah, thank you for joining, Soumya. And yeah, I'm also excited for this, guys. Just feel free to say hi in the chat, and let's just get some positive energy from the classmates. Hi Ashkan, welcome. So guys, how was your past week? Did you find time any time for practicing? Is there any question from the previous session? If there's any, we can just maybe go over a few questions. If there is any, then we can start our session. Hey, Jonathan. Welcome. We will having a hands-on session. Yes, for sure. Yeah. It is going to be a combination of the theory and the concept of whatever that we are going to talk about, then the hands-on session. So you can just do the practice afterward, based on them. Of course, in the Microsoft Learn documentation, you always can find step-by-step things to do for getting started with something. And in our sessions, we are going to exactly, doing, the things or, some sort of other scenarios. So yeah, it is the way that we do the sessions. If you missed the past session, the session number 1, it is available on our YouTube channel. So let me just share my screen and start load to share screen. Let me just start sharing. Cool. Awesome. Session number 2 of the bootcamp DP-600 exam, and as part of the Fabric Data Days, it is an ongoing event. So guys, it is, so if it is your first session, you need to just check the previous session as well, but it is not a stop for you. It is not a big thing. You can always just go back and watch them, and if there's any question, you can just come back. Cool. It is Mehrdad Abdollahi, the Microsoft Learn expert and the community lead at Microsoft Fabric Café, and the instructor of this this bootcamp. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. It is 6 p.m. here, almost 6 and 5. And I'm always a learner. I would like to learn and just teach whatever that I learned, and I hope I'm doing it in the right way. We are in Microsoft Fabric Cafe. That is basically at the Microsoft Learn community. We run the Fabric Coffee, weekly Fabric Coffee sessions. If you have been with us, in the past year and a half, we had almost 50 sessions with different speakers. But in these 2 months, we focused more on the this boot camps for DP-600 and DP-700, with almost 5,000 members around the globe, which is focusing on Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. So if you're new here, in our YouTube channel is Microsoft Fabric Cafe, our LinkedIn page, the groups in Microsoft Tech Community and Microsoft Fabric Community, and for sure you can just find the upcoming sessions and events on Meetup group. The Meetup is Microsoft Fabric Cafe also, and you can just rate the sessions and just show your RSVP in that one. So no, we don't have any WhatsApp channel for the Fabric Cafe. These are the only official channels that we've got. If you would like to chat, if you would like to have discussion with your peers, feel free to jump into the Microsoft community group. We have a tech group there, and this tiny URL is going to land you there. There you can just start asking the questions and just getting support from your peers. Hey, California. So there's a code of conduct, when you join the sessions. Thank you very much for adhering to this, code of conduct. And for sure, it was available on our Meetup group where you did RSVP. And session number 2 of Fabric Analytics Engineer certification. The past week, we actually covered some sections, the green stuffs. And today we are going to move mostly on the transformation of the data and querying the data and basically working on the data warehouse experience in Fabric. In the past session, we worked on the Lakehouse and just doing some data loading and playing with the pipelines, data flows, and also talked about the version controlling. And hopefully we can just cover everything here. Just keep in mind the data warehouse topic is a big topic that cannot be done in one session, and I will just do it in 2 sessions. So the next session maybe and next Wednesday or the coming Friday. I will let you know based on my availability and how we can ready. So as I mentioned, it is all about data warehouses and how to design them. We will have an overview of the data warehouse in Fabric, how to load data in it, and how to query that. In our next session, we will just talk about how to monitor and secure it, but not that much about the monitoring stuffs. So let's get started with Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse. There are some fundamental things about the data warehousing if it is new for you. So basically, the warehousing is starting from a data ingestion that's let me just tell you like this. Eventually you want to have a data warehouse to create your reports and help your, organization or your clients to make the right decisions based on the right data and the final numbers. Let's say how many of this specific product was sold in this region. Are we going to continue with this store, or we are going to just close it, or what we can do to improve it? You see, the end result is important, right? But that end result is not going to be happen without having the right data, and the data with the good quality, which is the whole process of data warehousing steps is going to just help to run this actually the wheels of of this process. So the data is going to be ingested from the source. The source can be mostly they are the transactional systems where you're like a retail store, right? You have your daily transactional data. It is going to be ingested into a staging area. Let's say it is a file or staging tables. We will store them somewhere just to be ready for doing the processing on top of that. Then we start with the data processing that is going to just transform the data into the format that's actually ready for consumption by analytical tools. The data may come from different sources that needs to be in the same shape when we are going to just analyze everything together. And eventually we create the reports and do the analysis on top of that. In Microsoft Fabric, it is also the same, right? But in Microsoft Fabric, as we mentioned in the past week, the data is basically stored in one lake, right? And the warehouse is also the same thing. The data behind the warehouse is going to be stored in our one lake, and the one lake is nothing than the Parquet file and delta logs. So in Fabric, I know the data warehouse is going to be actually supported. It is supporting TSQL, querying and programming, and as I mentioned, the file format is Parquet. In order to create a warehouse in Fabric, it is just simple in your workspace. So you have to have a workspace having access to that, having the right permission in that workspace, and just create your warehouse as a new one. And when we will just jump into our portal, Fabric portal, to create it. But let's just finish this overview. Let me just check if let's do this, and let's move on to our workspace, DP-600 Fabric database. From the new item, I can just look for a warehouse. Let's call this warehouse, let me just not be that quick. When we search for a warehouse, they are in the store data section. You can create a sample warehouse if you don't have any data. Just play with that. You can just load some sample data, but we work with the warehouse, an empty warehouse. But before that, before we create it, I just want to show you something that is going to be maybe referred in next session. But there are some workspace settings. There are some limitations and configuration, let's say, consideration for the warehouse in the workspace, which is related to the collations in SQL, right? There are two supported collations in Fabric Warehouse. One is the case sensitive, and one is case insensitive, meaning that if you choose, it is the default one, and when your warehouse has been created, you cannot change its, actually change its case sensitivity and collation. So if you go with the case sensitive and you wanna just refer one of your tables, like this one, my table name, you have to just follow the the exact wording, right? And you cannot just name your object in lowercase. So the case sensitivity is related to the objects that you are going to refer in your querying. So it is important, later, if you would like to have wild names and not being that restrict in terms of its capitalization, then you can go with the insensitive. Otherwise, you can go for the case sensitive. Samia, I just come to your question. Should we create a workspace? Yes, in our previous session, actually, we have created the workspace, and you can just go over that to how to create it and what to consider. So let's create our workspace. I'm happy with the let's create our warehouse. I'm happy with the collation, and let's call it my data warehouse. And let's see how it does. look like. So when it is a a new warehouse, you can let's wait for this one to be completed. I want to save time. Yeah, we can just back to this one later. Let's back to our slides to save more time. Yeah, we have created the warehouse. We will cover explore the different sections there. But the more important thing for warehouse is how to design it, right? Before jumping into the keyword and just start creating something, we need to design it, right? And when we talk about the design, is basically talking about the tables, how we are going to create our tables, what kind of tables we need, and how they are going to be integrated and loaded. In data warehouse, basically there are three type of tables, right? The number one is fact tables, that we have the numerical data or aggregatable data that you're going to measure them. For example, the order list of a retail store that some products have been sold in the past year, right? Typically they have these fact tables have the large number of rows and are the primary source of the data for analysis, for sure, because you want to count, summarize them, count, just getting the average of the sales, and etc., etc. On the other side, you have the dimension tables that are going to contain our descriptive information about the data in that fact table. So the dimension table is going to be linked to the fact table, right? And they typically have a small number of rows and are used to provide context for the data in that fact tables. As an example, the list of customers, list of products, list of sub-products, product categories. And these are going to be just linked to your fact table. Then you can, they are going to basically connect it together with a foreign key and primary key, right? And in the dimension tables, based on the type of that, based on how the data is going to be changed over time in that dimension table, we will have different type of the keys. But let's say we have a surrogate key, which is a automatically created key for being used in the warehouse, and also the alternate key or the business key, the exact key that is going to basically refer to your transactional database. Let's say for your customer, for your customer, you have a key of let's say their name, right? John 1. It is the key, let's say. But in the warehouse, that key is going to be a bit useless, but only for referencing and reporting, basically. And on the other side, we have the surrogate key, which is going to be just sitting on top of that and generating the new records when it is going to be a slowly changing dimension. We will talk about the dimension table later, but just let's have an overview to here. And the third type of the tables that we've got is the integration table, which is basically a place for integrating and or staging our data, right? We want to bring our data from transactional database. We are not, usually we are not reading them on fly and just push them to our production table, to our fact tables. So we bring them in. We may have the data from different sources, transform them from different staging tables, then push them to the our production fact tables and also dimension table. So it is very important to just know where you're gonna store your data for staging and where you're gonna have your integration tables. It might be in your Lakehouse, it might be in the same warehouse, it might be in another warehouse, or it might be even a JSON, a Parquet file in your Azure Blob storage, anywhere. About the dimension tables, there are basically two types, spatial types of the dimension tables. That one of them is the time dimensions, that is containing the actually time period in which an event occurred. For example, when a purchase was done in a retail store, let's say it was a day and time in November, but for that specific date and time, and let's say in that specific time, we have a key, instead of having the full date and time, for example. And that date key can be, just referenced in our dimension table instead of having the key, the date and time value itself, for making the connection between fact table and dimension table. The other type of the dimension tables that we have is slowly changing dimension. The dimension tables that track the changes, to that dimension attributes over time, like changes to a customer's address or the product price. Of course, a price of a product is not going to be same, over time. And when we are doing the analysis, it is important that we know where a customer is residing, or who was the manager, for example, of a store in that specific time. So we need to keep track of changes for a dimension, and it is called SCD, or slowly changing dimensions. About the how to connect these tables together, we have two types of schemas. That's the best practice of that, and the most common is star schema for the data warehouse, which we have one fact table, and all the dimension tables are directly connected to the fact table, like fact cells, then dimension of product, date, customer, store, and employees. And if we cannot fit all the related stuffs in one dimension, then Snowflake schema is going to come into the play. Then that is going to give us the options to have the tables that are connected to our dimensions. Like here, if you can see, we have the dimension of product, then we have the category and supplier, and maybe we may not just denormalize it and having everything in one table for whatever reason. Maybe that a dimension of supplier is also used somewhere else, and we cannot separate that. It is something that is better to avoid, because the best practice is the star schema, based on all the announcements that we've had from even Microsoft, especially from Microsoft. When you want to ingest data into a data warehouse, there are different ways. Like the previous session that we covered for Lakehouse, we have the same story here, but a bit different. We can load the data using the Fabric pipelines, using the Dataflow Gen 2, and even cross database querying. We will just I will look at that later. For example, let's say you have your Lakehouse, and you want to just use your Lakehouse as a staging place and just read the data from there and combine it with something in your warehouse, then load it to your, let's say, fact table, right? So in this case, we go for the cross-database querying, that you have to just follow a hierarchy of the that storage. It is a lakehouse or warehouse, then a schema, then that table name. Then the other one is the copy into command. That is basically copying the data from a file somewhere to your to a table, to a staging table, or even a final table. Warehouse in Fabric is providing us with some features, right? One of them is the clone tables. For cloning table means basically replicating the table about its metadata, the columns, the whatever that is related to its structure, plus connecting, actually still keeping the link to the data that is behind that table in your OneLake. The files, the Parquet files, still are referenced by this new clone table. That there are different use cases for cloning table. Even when you want to create a clone table, or actually when you want to clone a table, you can just set your time for a specific timestamp. Say I want this table with the data in that specific date and time, and let's create it. It is going to be stored actually having a configuration on top of that, right, with that specific timestamp. So one of the use cases will be the historical reporting. If we want to go back and travel in time, basically in T-SQL, we can make use of this clone table. Or even for the data recovery, we want to back and just compare with what we have in our current table, then just do the fixes and whatever that happened to our data. In order to query the data, there are different ways. One of them is, the very popular one is the SQL query that is available from the new SQL query. Is for those guys who are coming from a SQL background, SQL Server background. It has the IntelliSense. It is syntax highlighting, client-side parsing, and you can have some sort of validations. And there is also Copilot, but not in the trial licenses, for assisting you to create and generate actually the SQL codes. Another type of the querying data warehouse is visualized editor. That is basically the Power Query that you can just if you would like to go with a no-code and no-code experience, and if you're coming from a no-code low-code experience and background, you can go with this visualized query. If you're familiar with the Power Query in Power BI, or even in the data flow, it is where you can actually make benefit from. And it is going to give you lots of features, managing the columns, changing the type of them, filtering the rows, replacing values, group by, and even joining and doing the cross database selecting and joining to your data set, and eventually just save it as a view. So in our data warehouse, we can create the semantic model. For the semantic model, we will talk in session number 3 or 4 actually now. That you can just make the connection between your actually create your model, create your semantic model, then make the connection between them. However, in your data warehouse, you can create the relationship between your tables, like primary key, foreign key, and whatever constraint that you need. But in semantic model, it will be utilized for your analysis when you want to create the reports. Previously, there was a default semantic model. I just purposefully crossed this default, and that statement that Fabric automatically create a default, but it is not the case anymore. You need to create one if you need. Then on top of that, you can just create your visualization. The security overview, in the warehouse, you can create your role-based access control, some sort of encryptions for Azure storage services, or even benefit from SSL, and some sort of integration with your Active Directory users and groups for doing the security and role-based access control. We will talk about them in our last session. And also about the permissions and workspaces. We don't want to talk about them and wasting time now. Let's jump into our portal and let's have a look at our warehouse. So our warehouse has been created. It is a landing page of the warehouse that you can see the schema. In the schema, if there is any, you will see the tables and so on and so forth. And whatever query that you create is going to be stored automatically in my queries, and you can just move whatever that you have created to the shared queries to have a collaboration with your teams, and it can be shared within your organization. What else? Here you've got a getting data. For getting data, you can get load the data actually using a pipeline or a data flow Gen 2. And for querying the data, as I mentioned, you have the SQL query, and when you click on that, it is going to create one. And as you can see, the Copilot can just assist you here. However, it is not available in trial. And also you have a Copilot button here that is going to show a chat box for you for just generating the SQL queries for you. And there are two other options for explain query and fix query errors. For explain query, it is also a Copilot one. You can just highlight your query and click on the explain query. If you have no idea or you don't want to go through all the details in that query to just explain whatever that happened to you, that is happening in that specific script. But you need to keep in mind the Copilot in Data Warehouse in Fabric is actually only has access to your table names, the column names, and whatever relationship that they have with each other, like the foreign key, primary key, and nothing related to the data has access to. So you can, for example, just say, hey, give me just some prompts, give me the top 10 customers in the past year, in the past quarter. So you're just specifying some table names and the column names. Before working with the Copilot and the Copilot assistant here, you need to know your model first, right? And knowing what is the whole architecture of your data model and your warehouse model. Also, there is another thing, like fixed query errors. If there is any error, it is going to just validate your script to just check it. There's some SQL templates, if you're new here, if you want to create something, for example, for a new schema. Schemas are here, as you may know. In SQL, schemas are used for categorizing basically the components. You can just name them, for example, for in a single warehouse, let's say one schema for staging, let's say, and one schema for your silver layer, and one schema for your gold layer, just as an example, or one schema for department of HR, or the other one for sales, right? You can name them based on your needs, based on your organization needs. I can give you some ideas that if you have a list of master data, you can just create a schema for them for the master data. And by clicking on each of these guys, you can just see the template of them, right? So, for example, if you want to create a table, you need to follow the data warehouse name, then the schema, then the table name. However, if you go only for the table name, then it is going to be stored in the default schema, which is DBO, and the column and type of that, and if any rule is going to be applied to that column. And yeah, there are other things, new view, sub procedures, functions, table value functions, or scalar value functions. You can access to your data warehouse using Visual Studio Code that you're gonna need the extension of the SQL connection, and also you can connect to your SQL Server Management Studio, by just copying this server name, right? And if there is any need, if you prefer to work locally in your machine. Yeah, I think that's a brief explanation of what we have in our data warehouse, and in the settings section, what is important here, I think it is better to just talk about them next session, about the security and the endorsement stuffs. Cool. Let's start with the loading data. In order to load data into warehouse, you need to understand again about the ETL process. ETL is extract, transform, and load the data. So extracting, connecting to the source, select the necessary data, whatever that you need based on your use cases and scenarios, transform them, load them, and if there is any post-load optimization, just work on, actually execute your scripts there. We talked about the staging data a lot. I don't want to talk about them, but there are different types of loading the data, right? There are two main types. One type is a full load, that you have to truncate the table and load the data. It is good for the initial load, for when of course it has longer load time. There is no history sorted because we are truncating everything and reloading them, and it is of course best for the initial load and or refresh. And on the other side, we have the incremental load. It is going to append data to the tables, anything was added or modified is going to be pushed into these tables. Of course, it is faster in comparison with your full load. You can preserve a history of your data, like just remember about the dimension tables that we talked about. And yeah, is of course the best for frequent updates. Before jumping into the dimension keys, I would like to just have a data load here, if I can. Okay, the first thing that the first load of the data that I'm going to have is let's say let's ingest the data from a pipeline, right? We can create the new pipeline here. We can create it from here, anywhere, right? Or even from the workspace itself. But let's call it, and let's say load load customer data to data warehouse, right? And let me just get the link. So in the hopefully it's going to work. So in the blob Azure Blob Storage, there is a link here. If you just look at this link, there is Fabric tutorial data that is publicly available from Microsoft. I am going to just put the link in the chat if you would like to have a look at it later. The folder path is sample data. And then the directory, not sure if the directory is called data warehouse, then wildword importer. As you saw, there was a lot. And from the tables, I'm interested in dimension customer Parquet file. This one, dimension customer Parquet file, is going to just preload something for me here, and just having a preview of data that if it is what I'm looking for. Just next, and where it is going to be landed. I'm in my data warehouse. I can either use, it is going to just identify if there is any table that is going to be loaded there. And if it is a new one, I can also load it to a new table and name it. Let's name it as is. Here we can just manage the destination name, or just change it, changing the type of that. For the types, we will just talk in the other slides. There are some data types that are going to be mapped from a source like Parquet, but of course we have only supported data types in Fabric Data Warehouse. That big end, varchar, date time 2, and things are available. But for example, we don't have something like string or in64, right? And instead we have these automatically mapped data types. And if you just click on your drop down here, you can see the data types that are available in data warehouse. So we are happy with the default. You can just add or delete the columns based on your needs. And I don't want to do anything specific from Parquet to warehouse. I'm happy with that, and start data transfer immediately. Yes, it is a good assistant actually for copy data activity, right? And just it is running. While it is running, let's just work on that. In the source, we specified the connection that we had. We have the file path. This file path is available in Microsoft documentation, and we choose the file format of that, based on the source of the data that we have, which is the Parquet. And for the destination, we need a connection. The connection is, for me, it is the current tenants, current workspace that they have. And from there, I choose the warehouse. I've got another warehouse, but my warehouse is my DW. And it is going to auto creating a table. In that, assistant, copy assistant job, it was just asking for create a new table, just some terminologies, and the table is going to be created like this. It has been executed successfully. We can check the the output of that. It is succeeded. And if we go out into our warehouse and refresh the schema, we should have now a schema of DBO and the landed table, right? The table that is created is dimension customer. And let me just go to the chat if there is nothing. Okay, cool. So in the schema, as you can see, we have the list of tables, list of views, functions, and start procedures. These are the items that are going to be created, in our session or sessions. But let's start with this dimension customer. When you click on that, it is going to just give you a preview of the data. Ashkan is asking for test. Can you make one shortcut to one of your tables which exists in cloud? Yes. The shortcuts are going to be available basically in your Lakehouse, but it is going to what you do. We will do that later, but if you want to have a shortcut to the out of Fabric, so you need to do it in your Lakehouse and create a shortcut to your Azure SQL or to your Azure Data Lake storage, to any tables in the, for example, in data warehouse within Fabric, in your OneLake basically, or to Azure S3 and whatever that is supported for the shortcuts. Then you can add that Lakehouse as an option here, in the Explorer, to just add it here, right? For example, I have my Lakehouse. I can just bring it to my warehouse query set section, and just having a cross database querying. We will do it. That's a good question. Yeah. What else? Let me check my notes here. So it is just a simple load, right? It is the list of my customers. Let's back to the which is a good example even when we are talking about dimension keys. Let's have a look at the data itself. It has a customer key, right? it has a customer ID, worldwide importer customer ID. What I want to check quickly, if there is any select from DBO dot customer customer ID. Oh, what happened to that? Count. I just want to find the customers that are that have more than one record in the customer in the dimension customer table. Hopefully I can find something. Group by worldwide importer customer ID having count more than one. Let's see. Oh, nothing, unfortunately. That's good. That's good because I saw a customer key here, and I thought maybe when it has a valid from to valid to, it may have actually one at least one record, one employee, sorry, one customer that is created twice, but no worries. We can create always. About the dimension keys, we have two types of the keys, as we mentioned before: surrogate key and alternate key. The surrogate key is a unique, actually, identifier for an instance of a dimension entity or a row. In this example, you can see for the customer alt key, for example, this one I543, it actually appeared 2 times, right, for Navin. In one of them is showing New York as a city, and the other one is showing Seattle. But which of these guys is the latest one? Which of them is the valid one? About its validity, we should say what is the last one? For example, for this customer key, we have the 1 to 3 and 1 to 6. So 1 to 6 means it is the last one, the latest one. And for those times that Novin was in Seattle, he was purchasing the things from one store and then moved to New York and purchasing the things in New York now. So it is the analytics are going to be in the right way for both cities. I just want to make sure that the surrogate key is delivered correctly. The surrogate key is linked to your fact table, right, where that purchase has been happened. And on the other side, the alternate key, which is the customer alt key, is basically your business key, the key that is used in your transactional database, or a natural key, let's say. It can be duplicated in a dimension table, which is following, SCD 1 or 2, right, where you have a history, right, that both are in the transactional table are same, but in analytical table are different things. We talked about the SCDs. It is important to know what type of the SCD, or slowly changing dimension, we are using for each of our dimensions. It goes back to your design, how you are designing your warehouse. The type 0, which is the very basic one, these are the dimensions that never change for example, let's say the gender, or you know, or for example, what can I say? The days of a week, they never change, right? The type 1 is going to overwrite, and there is no history on top of that, right? For overwriting, what we can make the example for overwriting at the moment, I cannot remember anything for now. For type 2, it is going to just append and track changes, like what we discussed for the customers, right? However, any of these guys can be in type 1 as well. For example, they say, hey, we don't care where this customer is living, right? And so for this one, it is only just overwrite it, just truncate everything in the customer table and load them into your dimension table. I don't care where this customer is living. I can track the purchases from the store that this customer is doing the purchases. And the other type of the STDs that mostly in the data warehousing, type 1 and 2 are used and are common. No, type C, for example, we have the type 3 is also one of those common stuffs for adding history columns, that is showing from when to when this record is valid, like the previous what we are just loaded here. For the customer, we have a field which is saying valid from this date time to this date and time. So it is very useful, and based on that date and time, it goes back to just find the relevant records in fact table and just bring them back for your analytics and and querying. And the other types add new dimension, which is a bit rare, but it happens that you're gonna have a new dimension table for this type of the dimension, slowly changing dimensions. Type 5 is like type 2, but for large changes. If there are a lot of changes for a dimension, and everything is going to be changed, all the fields are going to be changed. And type C6 is the combination of type 2 and 3. It is appending and history columns, right? For example, you're going to have the new customers, right? New customers are coming. It is going to be added, right? It is going to just append. And also that new customer has been changed in terms of the address and the CD. So it is a combination of 2 and 3. Cool. Hopefully it was understandable, and I tried to make it simple. Here is a SQL example of a type 2 slowly changing dimension. For example, we are checking the dimension of products where the source key is equals to product ID, and in this type we have a column that shows it is a valid record, right? The valid record is the last one. If it is a valid record and we have it, right, just get rid of that. Then just actually mark it as invalid now, and then just insert a new record for me, and with a valid status validation. Actually, the status for that record as true, and add the new dates. For example, today's date and its start date is going to be from today, or your last call of the syncing data, and the end date is going to be, for example, forever. In order to create the tables in data warehouse, in Fabric warehouse, of course, we can follow the SQL creating table command like this. Create table name, and that just naming the columns and type of them. We will check here the data types that are basically supported in Fabric, right? For exact numeric, we have bit, a small int, big int, and decimal or numeric. For approximate ones, we have float and real. For date and time, date time 2. And just make sure, just be minded that the precision for date time 2 and time is limited to 6 digits. And functions actually in the second section, yeah. And we have some sort of fixed length character strings, which is char and varchar for the variable ones. In Fabric warehouse, we don't have any varchar and nchar, so there is some sort of limitations there based on the collations that we have. And the other thing is the binary data that we have, this var binary and unique identifier, right? About the unique identifier, for those guys who are using unique identifier, maybe this is going to be a bit sad news as a key. But we have the surrogate key and we have the identity columns. No worries about that. So the data type, of unique identifier is actually without a matching type in delta parquet, right? When it goes to the delta parquet, we have the actually our data warehouse data is going to be stored in data parquet, right? So we don't have any matching type in delta parquet files for unique identifiers. So it's going to be stored as a binary type. Yeah, and what else? Yeah, just not missing anything. Cool, it's good. And we've got some unsupported data types. We're coming from SQL background. You can just check whatever that is unsupported in Fabric warehouse. About the money, I don't know, the small money, but there are some alternative availables. For example, you can for the money and small money, you can use decimal, or for JSON we can use varchar. However, for the varchar itself, we have a limitation, I think, of 16 megabytes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the varchar is 16 megabytes in data warehouse, and also for the var binary is also 16 megabytes for each cell in warehouse. Just keep in mind when it comes to the data load and table creation. Okay. About identity columns. Before going to the identity columns, let's go and create some 1 or 2 tables with loading the data, right? Still we are in the loading data, and let's make it a bit functional here. In order to create the table, I'm going to just copy the scripts to save time. And as you can see, as I mentioned, Whatever query that you're going to start here, automatically they are going to be part of my queries, right? We can of course name them, rename them, and give it them a right, actually an appropriate name for future references, and then we can just move them to a shared queries. The shared queries folder, and these queries are only available in your personal workspace and account. Yeah, let's just create the table, the tables that I want to load the data into. I've got two tables called dimension city and fact cell. But what I want to do is adding a column for my dimension city as identity. As you can see, in the tables that we've got, they're nullable, right? And for the other thing, that I want to mention later is about the constraints for the primary key and foreign key. What I'm going to change is making this as not null, the city key, and also for the key here. Also for the cells key, let's make it as not null in my fact cells table. That should be good. And in addition to that, I want to add a column called actually as identity column. The identity columns are the automatic surrogate keys generation. However, in my city key that I have here is a surrogate key, but I want to just show you how an identity key is going, identity column is going to work in Warehouse Fabric. We need to just add it to our table creation. So if you want that surrogate key, if you want to create your dimension table from scratch, now I'm just loading the ready dimension table, right, from somewhere else. But let's say you want to just load your data from your transactional database, then you need to create a surrogate key for that. And this identity column is going to help you. In another session, we may just create actually load the data from transactional database, but it is really short of time. The identity columns are performance friendly. Basically the value is going to be generated in ingestion pipeline. It is going to just be the sequence. It is not necessarily in the same sequence because the data for the Parquet files actually are distributed in the storages, right, in the storage servers, and they are not, and in terms of, and also distributed for the compute, they are not going to be a strict consequence, actually sequence of the numbers for that identity column and their values. The identity columns are ideal as primary keys and or surrogate keys in a star schema, which is a good option. We will add it just to see how it does work. And the column must be in big int. These are just some rules that we need to keep in mind. In order to add it, when we are creating a table, it's going to just be, say, big int identity. That's it. And then other columns are going to be there. In SQL Server, we have the option to set the seed and the increment of that, but in Warehouse it is not supported, and because of the limitation, or let's say the architecture that it has, which is basically assigning those values in the distributed computes. So it is not supported. You cannot have custom seed and increment. System manages itself. It always, it is always, positive integer numbers. They're big numbers, and but the uniqueness is guaranteed for the lifetime of the table. Once the table is used, it will not be reused. Once a value actually is used, it is not going to be reused somewhere else in the same table, I mean. Yeah, as I mentioned, because of the distributed architecture, they are not going to be strictly sequential. And some limitations and consideration. We talked about the big ends. The other thing, you cannot insert directly the data into your identity column. It is not supported. No seed, and the identity column cannot be added to an existing table, and that is why I'm adding it in the creation in the creation step. So if you would like to have an identity column for an existing table, it is better to just select from that and insert into a new table that has the identity. And the other thing is that if a table has an identity column and you select from that table and insert to a new table, it is going to just inherit the identity character of that. Okay, let's go to this section. Here, I just wanted to show you, let's call it as ID, and it is going to be a big int and as identity. Let's see how it does look like, and that's it. Okay. We're going to only just create the table, nothing specific here. It is going to drop if exists, and then create the table. Let's run it. Samir, you've got an error. What's that? It's good, you're doing the things, during the class, during the session. Resource not found. What source? What resource? Oh, the link that I shared. Yeah. Did you have to use it in your connection? Not sure where you have used it, but it is the sample data that we've got from Microsoft. So the created tables. Let's just rename this query to create tables. And rename it. It is going to be renamed here, and we have the tables, the city table. Now we have the ID as big int. So it is the time to load the data into these created tables. What I'm going to do is using the same thing, but in order to load the data this time, instead of going through the pipeline I'm going to create a new query using the copy into command. Let me just check if I've got anything here. Okay, in the slides, for loading the data, we can load them from pipelines as we covered. We use the copy data activity. It can be scheduled or parameterized, and before doing the copy data, you can delete your data from your table. For example, here, before this one is going to be executed, let's just find the activity, delete data. Before that, we can just say, hey, go and delete the data from fabric item connection. Let me just check. It's going to one lake catalog. If I can find it. So this deletion is only happening for Lakehouse and not for the data warehouse. Yeah, it was good to know. That's fine. Let's leave it as is. We have configured the copy data assistant together, and now it is the time to use the copy into command to load our data. The data that I've got is reside in the same Azure blob storage. We will have a look at that in the links, but the let me just copy that. But here you can just see the full command sections. It has actually is showing the type of the column, then it is basically reading the data from a file, but the type, actually the example that we are going to cover is using the function of open row set. That is the same story. It is going to read the data from a blob storage. Then let's back to here in our data warehouse. We have created a new query. Here it is only just having a select of those Parquet files. Look at the link. The link is in a blob storage. It is Fabric tutorial data. It is publicly available, so you can always access this file. And we can just have a look at the data here, just top 10 of dimension city, and the fact sales table that we are going to load. As you can see, there is no ID here. It is only the city key, but we're going to add this ID when the data is going to be loaded. It is only just select of the data to just have a sense of what's going on with that data. Then it is the fact table. Then we are going to just copy into the data into this table. And for sure, the schema in that Parquet file must match the schema that we've got in our dimension table and in our fact table, which is because I've got the list of columns here. And the file type that I'm going to read from is the Parquet. And when we want to select the data, let me just show you some differentiation here. In the top section, we are reading only a sample of data that we are using the function of open row set that is going to just in bulk reading the data from this location. But when we want to do the copy into command, just using the copy into command, it needs the destination table that we are going to load the data in from wherever, and then the just file type. And if there is any shared access key or some security stuff that can be added in this with section. So let's load this data into the tables. We can just select it and run it. It says specifying an explicit value for the identity column. What we can do is, since it is going to just load the data, and maybe there's a problem with the copy into command. Let's load the fact table for now. But for dimension city, what I'm going to do is select store from this one. Let me just copy it and create a new one for the cities. Let's check if so. Insert into city, dimension city. Let's see if it is going to work in this shape. Yes. So these are, the tips that when you are, doing the thing, are going to be, the errors and the exceptions are going showing up. So let's see what happened. I've added the identity column for my city table, right? And I want to just copy the data from blob storage directly to this table, but it was just giving me the error, right? That the identity column cannot be, populated. Why? Because the copy into is doing one-to-one, mapping from source to my destination, but with another method of inserting to and selecting from that source, it worked, right? And let's check the data now for dimension city. That, as you can see now, I have an ID here, and it is not necessarily it should be good, yeah. And I also have the city key here. However, I just wanted to show you how the ID is working. And in the fact cells table, we have some sort of columns here, like sales key, city key. This city key is the point to be connected to this city key in the dimension city, and the first customer key also the same thing, the customer key. And so yeah, we've loaded the data there. That's good. Let's just rename our scripts. Load data to city dimension. And for this one, I'm gonna just delete these guys and rename it. Load fact cell data. Sometimes it is going to be happen, but renaming load fact cells. Yeah, cool. All good. We've loaded our data, and what else? Let's back to our slides. I just wanted to back to this slide. When, let's say, we want to load our fact table in the way that we're loading the data from the transactional database and not from the the sample data that I'm doing. When you're going to load the data from your transactional database, of course, you have your business keys for your dimensions. For example, for customer, you have your customer ID, right, from your transactional database and not the surrogate key. What you need to do when you want to load your data into your fact table, you need to do a lookup for your customer based on the business key that you have, the alternate key that you have, and then find the latest and valid customer record in your dimension, grab the data actually from its customer key field, and then just put that in your fact table to make that relationship in the right way, and where your analysis and your reporting becomes true, right? Just wanted just make sure about this one. That I'm going to cover it. What else? Okay, Ashkan, back to your question. Loading from other assets. We can also, create the shortcuts. I can maybe answer your question now. We do not have shortcuts in the warehouse, not in the way that we have in Lakehouse, but we can access the data across our the connections that we can make. I will show you how it does look like. Let me go back to portal. So I've got a, let's do this. I've got a warehouse here, sorry, the Lakehouse here. And in my Lakehouse, we have some sort of tables, right? And we can, let me just make a scenario here. Let's create a shortcut, but the shortcut is going to make the shortcut to the existing warehouse that we have, right? For example, in the warehouse that we've got, my data warehouse, right? And the tables that we have loaded are dimension city, for example, right? I want to just make it, and it will be a shortcut to my warehouse. I'm not copying the data. I'm not bringing the data in my Lakehouse. It is only a shortcut to that one. It is the beautiful section of the one lake. We only have one copy of the data. We only have one file for our city. Then it can be just utilized different places. So as you can see, with the shortcuts, a link has been added to this table. And let's back to my my data warehouse. And here, if I want to utilize other assets like that Lakehouse, I can just go to add a warehouse, and from there choose my Lakehouse, and it is going to be loaded here, showing the available data, available schemas there. And if I go to the DBO and list of tables, then I can see my dimension city here as well. It is the same thing, but I just wanted to show how it is working. And just to make sure that it is working correctly, and how it is basically, we can just drag and drop here. These are the things. Let's say select from this table, let's say data warehouse, inner join to this table, and when I copy that, as you see, it is starting from my Lakehouse name, then the schema, then the table name, right? And I call it Lakehouse on data warehouse dot city key equals to Lakehouse dot city key. I just want to say, hey, give me the top 10 of everything. Just make sure this relationships and joinings are working, right? And as you can see, I have 2 city keys, right, in my result set. So once the result is available, we can save it as a table. The result of that, we can open it in Excel, or explore this data by creating the visualization on top of that. So it is giving us some functionalities of what to do with this result set. Cool. And it is just we can what can be the scenario. The scenario can be loading a file in your Lakehouse as a staging place. Let's say you're following the medallion architecture. The medallion architecture, for those guys who don't know that, the medallion architecture is basically a system and a design pattern that you load your data in 3 levels. The level 1, which is bronze, you load your data from your transactional data as is, transactional database as is. In the serial layer, you do your transformations, whatever that is needed, And in the gold layer, you are doing all of the aggregations and creating your semantic model on top of that to just make the reports from it. So you can use your Lakehouse as the bronze layer to just dump your data there, right? Then you can make use of this cross database querying for loading your data from that from those assets. That's it. And of course, for loading data, you can use Dataflow Gen 2 for querying the data, for transforming your data, and just load them into your warehouse. It is the data flow it is coming through. We have actually covered that, that's a specific section for the data flow, how we can access the data and how we can transform it, and how it is going to be landed. But let's do it quickly for let's say load. I don't know if I can find the products data there. Load products data, and I'm hoping the data is available. Before that, let me check if we have access to this data. let's check if there is any file like this. The facts. Stock item. Let me. No, I have to look for based on the the file name. Yeah, you have a table like this. I'm gonna use this, right? There is a file called stock item. Let's top 10 of that. And let's go to our load product data. I just called it product data, but it is going to be our stock items. Ashkan, yes, for sure. We will do that, for the visual queries later. But I'm not sure why this guy is not loading. No, while it is busy, let's create a visual editor. So in your warehouse, you can just go to the new visual query. It is drag and drop stuffs. For example, let's have the fact table. Just drag and drop it. Behind that, of course, there is a the mQuery for the Power Query stuffs that you might be aware of that. And like what we have in data flow gen 2, but in shorter, with less features. We have it in this visual editor. Some features are not available. But here, for example, you can just add the steps. You can say, hey, I want to just choose some specific columns from this big table. I only want the, let's say, city key and the profit, right? And nothing else. It is only these two tables. And from the other side, I'm bringing the dimension city table. And I'm only interested in the city key and the city itself, right? And the state province. Then I can just, filter the records, right? By, keep the top records or removing the duplicates. Actually, the duplicates are removed automatically if there is any, but you can keep the duplicates if there is any, or keep the errors, or filter the rows. And for example, let's have a look at this. I'm only interested in, let's find one state. Let's only have main, and I'm going to just filter the data that not the city key. Not the city key. I don't want the city key. I want the province to main. I just added a filter here, only showing the province of main, and then I can just merge the data, like combining merge queries as new. For example, let's say I have the fact table here, and I just show the side of the joining. And here I say the dimension key, dimension city, by choosing and just city key here, and we can just choose the join kind. I'm interested in inner join, for example, and it is just showing us how many records are matched here. Then okay. Ashkan, I'm not sure about your question. Can we open a visual query in data flow and do other transformation? I don't think so. I don't think so. It is something that we need to check, but it is not something that I can recall, because if we save it as a view, maybe we can open that view, but it is going to be acted as source and but not having these steps. It is taking longer. I just want to save it as view. Oh, the SQL statement is not what I'm expecting. No. Something is not right with this. Let's just save this guy as visual query, visual query for main sales, main profit. Yeah, good. Okay, now it is merged, right? And the next step will be just expanding the columns. I'm not interested in the city key, for example, and I want it only because the city key is already there. I'm only interested in the name of the city, right? Then I can just group it or aggregate it. Let's say group by city and province, and just say sum the profit per city and province, or even other aggregations. But let's see how it does look like. As you can see now, it has been reduced. The numbers have been number of records. Now we have only the cities in that province. Then if I'm not sure again why it is not allowing me to save it as a view, for this. Yeah, and we can also do the visualization on top of that for that specific data set. Oh, I have a hard stop at in 15 minutes. Let's see how long it is going to take time for the other sections. Let's jump into my slides. For data transformation with Copilot, I mentioned about that the Copilot is not available in the trial version, the trial license, but it is something that for sure you can try when you purchase Fabric. In order to query the data in Fabric data warehouse, there are different ways, right? One way was the SQL query editor that we have done a little bit. Visual query editor that we covered. Data preview, when you click on it is for the city. Let's sorry, I have to shuffle sometimes. between the topics, but the city key and profit, I'm not sure. Oh, it just brought, something is wrong here. It is bringing the fact table for me and not, see, something is wrong. It is not functioning as expected. I expect this data, right? And when I save it as a table, it is going to get the data only from the fact table and not from this merged ones. And I don't see anything specific. I have to double check that, and we'll let you know in the next session how to make sure this merge statement and this data set can be shown as a view. Yeah, just let's park it for now, and let's back to our stuff. Yeah, visual query editor that we covered for the data preview. I forgot about that. Simple. When you click on your table in your warehouse, it is going to be just give you 1,000 rows of your table, showing the number of columns in the bottom right, and yeah, that's it. And the other thing is you can run TSQL in Microsoft Fabric Notebook. So if you would like to work with your data set, with your data warehouse, for sure you can create a new SQL query notebook. When you create that, it is going to give you a connection to this data warehouse. As you can see, the warehouses is going to be shown here, and just giving you the opportunity to just select that. For example, I want to just select the customer keys. It is top 100, and it is TSQL, right? So you have different ways of working with actually querying your data in in Fabric. For data warehouse, you can of course working with TSQL analytics, and of course you can access your data using other languages like Python, Spark SQL, and Scala, and PySpark. What else? One more thing. There is an option in Fabric because of having Delta format, and Delta Lake. You can travel in time and using this T-SQL, right? You can see what that data used to look like in one specific date and time. In order to demo that, we need to do something. Let me check. Let's go back to my data warehouse, and let's create a new query, and want to just create a view. For the view that I'm going to create, I'm going to use this one. It is top 10 customers, right? The top 10 customers is, and make it as a view, right? Just only let's run the statement of the customer. It is a join between the dimension of customers and fact table, and the difference is customer key and customer key in both tables is grouped by them and ordered by the total sales amount that we have actually summarized from the fact table. The second one, as you can see, it is 381, the customer key 381, which is wingtip toys. We can create this query as a view, like this, create view, the name of that, then as the select statement that we've got. And if you just execute that, and let me call it as create view top 10 customer. It has been created. Now we can see that under the views, and it can be just executed and be shown here. But what I want to do is just make an update on my fact table, and let's see how it does look like, right, when we say time traveling works in warehouse. Let's create another query, and in this query I'm just updating one of the rows in the fact table. So for one of the sales key, which is equal to this, let's have a look at data and see how I just update that. Select star from sales table, where sales key equals to this, but I'm only interested in the total including tax. Let's see what is the number of that now. It is 20 billion, but I'm going to just change it. I'm going to change it to 4 billion. Yeah, and just update it. And now it has been changed to that 400. What is my current timestamp? Is this. I'm gonna need it. Why? Because I want to travel in time, right? In the section above, I selected the fact table, right? And saw a value, right? And I have a view which is showing me the top 10 customers. When I executed the top 10 customers, the current top 10 customers, 49 is the first one, then 381. Just remember, 49 used to be in the fourth, actually in the third line. But with this timestamp that I just copied, let me just copy the timestamp from here and go back to a few seconds back. It is, let's say, 54 or 50 even, the time before we have done our change. Now 54, let's see. .54, let me check, it is Yeah. So 49, customer key 49 used to be in, the second item, second actually customer, but now it is the first one because of this big number that we've put here. However, if I go for this, for example, to 20, right, 49 is going to be dropped from my list. And if I go to the top 10 customers in normal, then the 49 drops in the third one. And if I go back here in 55, if I only get the data for this timestamp that I had the 400 and something, value in my fact cells table, then 49 should come to the first, right? So this, as you can see, this coming to the first. So this travel in time is making, a big benefit for us when we can just work with different versions of the data to just say, hey, who was for example, in a time series, right? Who is the top customer or top store in my organization? Cool. I think we can wrap it up for today. And for the other things, we have to, we did the aggregation, we did, the summarization, we did use joins in our queries. We did the group by for summarizing, for our view. For Snowflake schema, I didn't have any, actually tables like category, but it is not a big thing. One more join is going to be added to your joins when it comes to the Snowflake schemas. But it is normalized dimensions, which is not that acceptable, or the best case in data warehousing. It is better to denormalize it. By denormalizing, I mean you have the product table and you have category. Then you're going to just flatten the category and products in one table. So for the ranking functions, we will just talk about them later. We used the SQL query editor, and we worked with the export results where to load them. It can be an Excel file, it can be a saved as a table. The visualize query editor. There was some issues with saving as view that is going to be investigated for our next session, but we just covered some part of that for the transformation. As I mentioned, you can connect to your warehouse using your SQL client. If you got it, it is not a big thing. You can just, as I mentioned, you can get the server name, and but it is not supporting the SQL authentication. You have to use your the AD account that you've got in your Fabric. Multi-factor authentication. For DAX, it is not the current one, and just some stuff that are going to be discussed in the next sessions. I don't want to talk about these guys. So the session is coming to an end. The items that we covered today was mostly related to the data warehouse. Of course, another session we will have on the data warehouse before we jump into the semantic models. which is covered in a separate session. We worked with the SQL query. We did filtering. We worked with the visual query editor and filtered the data. I'm just the items that we I marked them as green. One of them is remained. That is going to be actually two of them, I think, because for implementing star schema falls in the semantic model session, but we will cover that next session as well. No worries. Adding a new column or table, somehow we covered that, but there are some sections that we need to cover next session for the stop procedures, functions. These two also should be covered in the next session. Yeah, no worries. I will try to cover all of them. Thank you very much again. Our normal, third session is next week on Wednesday on 26th at 6 p.m. But it may change. Just stay tuned for the next upcoming session. It may be this Friday for our next one. And yeah, if you would like to rewatch it, or if you missed the first session, feel free to watch it on our YouTube channel. It is going to be immediately available there. Follow us on LinkedIn and join the groups in the Microsoft Community Group and Microsoft Fabric Community. And don't forget to rate the session in Meetup and show your RSVP and share with your friends. Awesome. Cool. So let me wrap it up. Thanks everyone again for joining. For the queries, if you we're not in the first session, we have a repository in my GitHub. The link will be shared later, but all of the changed stuffs are going to be available in the repository. Awesome. So until next time, take care and enjoy learning. Have a good one. Guys, if there is any question, by the way, if there is any question, just write in the chat or reach out on LinkedIn or somewhere else. Yeah, have a good one.